And well, hope you guys can make it in today and check out the video. If not, let me know how you enjoyed the show in the comments down below. So I would definitely say this was a solid pay-per-view and one of WWE's best shows of the year, probably alongside Elimination Chamber, Royal Rumble. So overall, it was a great weekend. We had AEW Fight for the Fallen, some of the G1, which I have yet to watch. Haven't watched Evolve either. But let's get into this, guys. This took place from Philadelphia, PA, the Wells Fargo Arena. Philadelphia, pretty good city to be in there. They also were at the ECW arena for the Evolve show the night prior, which was cool. I ended up going 7 for 9 in my predictions, which is really good. Also had 3 other matches announced later in the week, and matches announced that same day. Still don't understand why they do that, but take the time, announce the matches, make sure everyone kind of gets their promotion out of it. So we had 2 matches on the kickoff, which included Intercontinental Champion Finn Balor defending the title against Shinsuke Nakamura. We have a new Intercontinental Champion. So I wasn't able to catch the full pre-show. I never really do. But switching the title on a pre-show is kind of a big deal still. Um, Nakamura is your new IC champion. Really cool to see what they actually do with him, since Balor hasn't really done anything with the title. Finn Balor was in the Money in the Bank ladder match in May or whatever it was. So Nakamura, your new IC champion after a Kinshasa and the 3 count. Always liked Nakamura. I think the right now your roster is a little bit overcrowded, so we're kind of seeing the effects of that now. The women's tag titles have yet to be on a pay-per-view, I believe, since WrestleMania. So it's going to be interesting going forward with Heyman and Bischoff if they actually play into this. Keep these women on Raw or SmackDown and push the titles a bit, make them mean something. Then we had Tony Nese versus Drew Gulak for the Cruiserweight title. Again, I don't really watch 205 Live. Caught a bit of this match with Drew Gulak retains the title after a Cyclone neckbreaker to retain. Decent match overall. I think this is one of the weaker Cruiserweight title matches. And again, moving forward, if they do implement a full brand split, I want to see the Cruiserweight title either on Raw, on SmackDown, get rid of 205 Live. So the show opened up with the no holds barred tag team match, The Undertaker and Roman Reigns taking on Shane McMahon and Drew McIntyre. I thought this was a good opener to a pay-per-view. I'm a big fan of opening a pay-per-view with a tag team match, especially something like this. We haven't seen Taker since Super Showdown in Saudi Arabia, which was just a disaster. And I think Taker looked good. He was out there to prove himself once again with a chance of "you deserve it" or "you still got it" and things like this. Listen, Undertaker never lost it, and Undertaker always had it. So I don't think Taker really has anything left to prove at this point in time. This was just kind of get that stank off from Saudi Arabia and, you know, implement a future storyline possibly. So this was supposed to be a no holds barred match. I don't think they really used the rules to their advantage, but it was a fairly good opener. Um, Undertaker looked great. He was very dominant early on with hitting all his signature moves, the snake eyes, the walking the rope, and old school. Gets a nice leg drop on the apron of Drew McIntyre, and then takes it outside. He's going for a last ride for Shane McMahon through the announce desk, and out comes Elias, smashing the guitar over Taker's back, lays him out, and we see Shane McMahon hit a big elbow drop through the announce table, and and then they hit a coast to coast on the Undertaker with a garbage can. So Undertaker's taking a bit of abuse. Undertaker and Roman Reigns at this time, he had been at a commission, knocked out by McIntyre and Elias. He was out in the front row somewhere. This is where Reigns and McIntyre get back involved. We see a chokeslam to Elias, chokeslam to Shane McMahon, and then a Undertaker's doing the throat slash, and Drew McIntyre appears from behind Undertaker. By the time Undertaker turns around, spear to Drew McIntyre, tombstone to Shane McMahon, and he almost uh, slipped up on that. He was able to put Shane down, reposition him, and hit a beautiful, good solid match. Just took up a bit too much time, almost 35, 40 minutes here. Second match of the night would be for the Raw Tag titles. The Revival defending against the Usos. Decent match overall, but I didn't like how they put two tag matches back to back. This was a good match overall. Shatter Machine to retain the titles. Revival, they have something interesting going into SummerSlam. Third match of the night would be Aleister Black, and probably one of the better matches of the night. Just one on one, straight out. Aleister Black defeating Cesaro with a black mass. Good match overall. Probably a good way to put old Aleister Black over. We would see several European uppercuts and springboard moves. Aleister Black with that beautiful moonsault to the outside. I think he was going for the neutralizer at one point when Black countered, hit the Black Mass for the pin and the win. Fourth match of the night would be for the SmackDown Women's title. Bayley versus Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss. Now, I don't know about you guys, but it seems to me like Alexa Bliss is a bit injured still. And she looks like she's either scared to take bumps or WWE is trying to do something with the storyline. She's not the Alexa Bliss of old. And, you could tell when she's in the ring, she hits a few moves and she quickly gets out of the ring. She's not taking many, many bumps. And it tells when you watch her matches. Maybe that's a video we could do on our own. They had Alexa Bliss, or Bayley at one point puts an Indian Deathlock on Nikki Cross. At the same time, she puts a crossface on Alexa Bliss, so a double submission attempt. Bliss bites the hand of Bayley and escapes that way. Bayley ends up getting the win here. Twisted Bliss, but Bayley counters, elbow to Nikki Cross off the top rope for the pin and retain the women's title. Fifth match of the night. These first five matches took up almost 2 hours of the show. Fifth match of the night was the last man standing match. I think this was a highlight of the show. I think it did go a bit long. Overall, it was a solid match, which I don't think a lot of people were looking forward to. I'm not a big fan of these last man standing matches. When they're done right, they're good, but overall, I think they're just not for me. So we would see Lashley versus Strowman, good back and forth all over the arena, and they went up to this vomitorium up in the crowd section somewhere, and Braun Strowman hits a power slam through all of this uh, something they made with wood and whatnot. Power slam through that. By the time the referee counts up to about 6, 7, Strowman busts through the wall and he stops the ref's count, and Strowman is the winner. Hopefully, this leads up into SummerSlam. Give Strowman the title now, and push this man as he deserves. So, if we have anyone in the live chat, let me know your thoughts. If you were able to catch Extreme Rules last night. Um, so Strowman survives. I thought that was a solid match, but not too bad. Sixth match of the night was for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. We had the New Day versus Heavy Machinery versus Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan, the tag team champs. The New Day actually coming out the victors here and 6 times tag team champions. Whether that's Raw and SmackDown combined or just the SmackDown alone, I'm not sure, but the New Day, another reign as champs. I picked Heavy Machinery, so this is one of those matches I got wrong. I'm just so over the New Day at this point. They've been around now for going on 5 years. I think it's time to split them up around the end of the year. Give them a nice run out of this and cut the team apart. Um, I love Xavier Woods. I think he's really improved over the last few years. Big E, I know he deserves better than a bunch of tag team runs. Big E is going to be the breakout star of this group. I'm looking for big things out of Big E. So we would see the New Day backstage celebrating with Kofi later on. All champions, the New Day, have all the gold on SmackDown. Seventh match of the night was for the United States Championship. AJ Styles versus the United States Champion Ricochet. Overall, I thought this was a pretty good match as well. Given a little bit more time, I think Styles and Ricochet can tear it up. Seeing one fella comment here with DVD reviews. Was surprised to see Black and Cesaro only getting about 9 or 10 minutes, and yeah, it reminds you of an NXT match. Um, there was a lot of matches here tonight with you know 10 to 12 matches on a pay-per-view. Sometimes that's going to happen where matches get cut short. I think Cesaro and Black was a pretty good match for about a 10-minute match. Same with Styles and Ricochet here. Black is one of my favorites. He's one to look out for. So AJ Styles becoming the new US champion. Oh, this is what I predicted. Involvement with the club. We've seen, Gallows and Anderson out there. And AJ Styles is now what, a 2 or 3 time US champ. I'm looking for big things out of this. How about we bring a ladder match to SummerSlam with Ricochet and Styles? Um, we don't see many one-on-one ladder matches anymore, and that's what I miss. You know, Probably we'll have to wait till TLC till we see another ladder match. Um, Also, WWE announced Raw reunion next Monday night, July 22nd. Um, we're gonna have Stone Cold, Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, all kind of people. Probably be another Raw 25. I'll watch it because I like seeing all the all the stars and things like that. When you know Stone Cold's going to be on Raw, that's when you definitely want to tune in, even if he's only on there to give someone a stunner or something. Um, so my theory going forward was put the titles on the club, give Anderson and Gallows the tag titles, give Styles the U.S. title, and after a while, give Styles the Universal title or the WWE Championship, and just have the club run wild on Raw or on SmackDown, whatever brand they're on. I forget, but I think they're on Raw. This whole wild card rule has gone out of hand and needs to stop tonight. No more wild card rule. No more back and forth. You know, this needs to stop. Um, they'll probably continue the feud here since it was a cheap victory, but I think these two men have a lot of left in the tank. I believe it was a Styles Clash for the win, pin in the win. Um, Ricochet as well. He's a guy you could just plug into any feud, any matchup, similar to Aleister Black. That's why I was mad when Black and Ricochet debuted on Raw, and they were put in a tag team, and none of them are tag team wrestlers. I get it; it's a way to put the guys on TV. You can have them squash other guys. You can have them in there with guys like Cesaro, Ziggler, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens. There's tons of guys that haven't been used in months. Guys like Apollo Crews or No Way Jose, Titus O'Neil. Um, tons and tons of guys. And then you're worried about Black and Ricochet being in a tag team. Um, it's not the way to go about it. Eighth match of the night was the shortest match of the night with about a 20-second match. At this point, I feel bad for Kevin Owens and Ziggler, two ring veterans and two guys, that could steal the show or carry the brand. There was a lot going on this show, so I can understand it. Pop up power bomb and a Stone Cold Stunner. Kevin Owens defeats Dolph Ziggler. This was one of the matches that just got thrown on the show. I wish it wasn't even on there, but whatever. It didn't hurt or help my overall rating. After the match, Owens got on the mic and said, "This since Shane McMahon got beat up by the Undertaker earlier tonight, I mean it. Every time you take time away from superstars, you're gonna hear about it." Hey, we got a couple people in the chat. What's going on, everyone? Hope everyone's enjoying their day. Tian Couponer. What's going on, man? I'm doing good. Enjoyed the pay-per-views last night, past couple days. It's been a good weekend. Just hot. It's hot here in Canada. Man, it's about 27 degrees in Canada. 27 Celsius. It's probably about 80, 85 plus humidity. It gets really humid here in Canada. Um, if you're looking for a reference, look up weather in Detroit, Michigan to kind of compare the weather I go through. Ninth match of the night was actually a match I was looking forward to. Was the WWE Championship match between Kofi Kingston, the WWE Champion, versus Samoa Joe, the Samoan submission machine. Um, I was disappointed with this match, and it seems like Samoa Joe cannot catch a break when it comes to his pay-per-view appearances. Back and forth with Rey Mysterio himself and Rey going through multiple injuries, tossing the U.S. title around like a hot potato, and then finally Joe gets a break for the WWE title, and now Kofi is going through some back issues and things like this. Nothing, that requires surgery or anything, but the match was short. It was shorter than I expected it to be. Um, it was quick match, very quick, and then Joe looked good though. He had a Uranagi and a Coquina Clutch very briefly. Trouble in Paradise out of nowhere to retain the title. So I'm guessing the New Day is going to be in some kind of six-man tag at SummerSlam. Maybe they'll put all titles on the line again. Um, Winners take all once again. How about the Club versus the New Day? All titles on the line. That'd be cool. Have AJ drop the U.S. title on Raw and have the Club go after the New Day for all titles. That's something I'd like to see. And have the Club go over in dominant fashion. So, I'm a big Joe supporter. I'd rather have Joe as my top champion than Kofi. I think Kofi's done a good job, but overall, I think it's time to take the title off Kofi. You know, it's it is what it is when it comes to Kofi being champion, but I think, they've gone as far as they can go with it. Yeah, yeah, man. Even, I'm sure they won't do it, but there's not really many other factions you could think of. Even if it was like Daniel Bryan, Eric Rowan, and Bray Wyatt, maybe. But Bray Wyatt, he's going to come back into a big program probably. He's not going to be involved in any six-man tags. Um, Other than that, it'd probably be like McIntyre, Corbin, Shane. That's how they could put the WWE title on Shane. Have him defeat Kofi in a six-man tag. They've done that once before. King of the Ring 2000. Triple H loses the title to The Rock after The Rock pins Vince McMahon. Or it might have been Shane, actually. So at this point, I would say the show is pretty solid, and we get to our main event. Winner take all for the Universal and Raw Women's title. And and champions Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch defending against Baron Corbin and Lacey Evans. They got a beautiful shot of Lacey Evans entering the ring. I know a lot of people seen that. Wow, one hell of a shot. Lacey had Seth on their derriere. Um, this was a decent main event. I don't think this should have been the main event. If they were gonna do anything else, have Kofi main event. It's been a long time since the WWE title main evented a pay per view. It might even be going back to Elimination Chamber, somewhere around there, um, when Daniel Bryan retained the title, right? Um, these guys battled back and forth, in and out of the ring. We've seen kendo sticks, chairs, cool table spot where they had two tables set up on the outside of the ring towards the ramp area. Becky hits like a diving senton through Lacey Evans, and Seth Rollins hits a huge frog splash on the ring post through this table through Baron Corbin. That was cool. I thought they would have did it at the same time, but I really liked how they did that. Um, but Seth and Becky have zero chemistry together. They just look awkward as ever on camera. Um, After that, we seen Baron Corbin was getting a ton of heat in this match for this match. Yeah. Um, at one point, Corbin hits the end of days. I honestly thought this was the end of the match. End of days to Rollins for a near fall, and Becky ends up back in the ring. End of days to Becky Lynch. Becky rolls out of the ring, and Seth snaps at this point in time. I honestly hope we don't see Corbin versus Rollins at SummerSlam. I'm so over this. um, Put Corbin back on the pre-show for the U.S. title. Um, Seth snaps with the kendo stick shots and chair shots to Baron Corbin. Three stomps, and Seth Rollins ends up pinning Baron Corbin to retain both championships. After the match, Lesnar's music hits, and We see a couple Germans. Lesnar cashes in. One F5. One, two, three. Brock Lesnar is your new Universal Heavyweight Champion. A lot of people were not happy about this. I'm a fan of Lesnar. I enjoy Lesnar, but I don't think this was the right time to take the title off Rollins. That being said, I know they're not going to waste the Money in the Bank this year. They did that 2 years in a row with Corbin and then Strowman last year. So you knew this year they weren't going to waste the Money in the Bank. Um, I could have seen, a cash in at a later date. But overall, I think this was a good time to do it, other than who would I have Lesnar face at SummerSlam? Um, I'd have Strowman and Lesnar go at it. Have Strowman win the championship here. I think Lesnar will be a transitional champ. I think his reign will be fairly short this time. So Lesnar becomes the three-time champion. Um, Overall, I don't think I had that big of a problem with it. It's just disappointing to see because Lesnar's not going to be there every week. You know there's going to be again zero title defenses on Raw, and it's not like Rollins defended the title much on Raw either. So you can't really complain about that. Um, I think WWE's creative needs to overhaul, have more title matches on Raw. Um, was always a fan of that. When you turn on Raw, you're gonna see a championship match: Stone Cold versus Undertaker, The Rock versus Undertaker. You've seen Triple H versus The Rock, Triple H versus Mankind. Seems like there was a title match almost every week or every other week. The odd time you'd have that big tag team match, the big 8-man tags, the big 6-man tags, but other than that, we have barely any title matches in this PG era. Um, so Brock Lesnar, a three-time Universal Champion. Um, if he doesn't face Strowman, I think it's going to be, Rollins once again. Maybe Reigns. I could see them going back to Lesnar and Reigns. 5-time Iron Man match. So, so we think Lesnar's going to show up more because Heyman's the executive director. That could be possible. So it seemed recently Lesnar signed a new deal. Whether he signed for more dates, more appearances, that's unknown. Um, it's all up in the air, how often Lesnar's going to appear. As of right now, there's about 4 weeks to SummerSlam, I think, or 6 weeks. I think it's about 4 weeks. So we got 4 or 5 Monday Night Raws. Out of those 5 weeks, Lesnar's probably going to be here 2 or 3 times. Um, I'd like to see someone new in the title picture. Aleister Black versus Lesnar, I don't see that happening. Bray Wyatt and Lesnar, that could be a cool match. It'll probably end up being a multi-man match with Lesnar, Strowman, Rollins, uh, Lashley maybe. Lashley versus Lesnar. That's a match WWE always wanted to do. Um, this could be the big time. Put the title on Lashley. So we think Cesaro should have a title match as well. Yeah. I love Cesaro, so underrated. And he's a guy, he could have outstanding matches, whether he's in there with Sami Zayn or John Cena. Um, tons and tons of good matches. And he's been in multiple tag teams now with TJ Wilson. I forget his real wrestling name now. Oh man, it's totally skipped my mind there. TJ Wilson, it's not his wrestling name. But anyways, he was partners with him, and then Tyson Kidd, yeah. Um, Tyson Kidd and Cesaro was a fun tag team. The Bar, I love that tag team. Whether Cesaro's in there with a technical guy or a strong man like Cesaro, he always outperforms his worth, and that's a good thing to be. Um, Maybe we'll see Kevin Owens versus Lesnar. That's a good idea to have. Um, a lot of options right now. When I look at the landscape, I think, who got the big wins on the last couple of shows. So I'm leaning more towards guys like Rollins, the previous champion, Roman Reigns, Black, Lashley, or Strowman. Even Ricochet. Maybe they could just Ricochet into the WWE Championship match. It's possible. Um, so overall, I think I'm gonna be very generous here. I'm gonna give this show an 8.5 out of 10. Very enjoyable show. I'm definitely gonna watch this again. Definitely gonna get the DVD. Um, this was better than Fighter Fest, whether people want to admit it or not. Um, Fighter Fest didn't do it, or Fight for the Fallen didn't do it for me. Thought that was AEW's weaker of the three shows they put out. Um, Whether that was by design or not, the humidity got to all the superstars. Um, I think they have a lot to prove going into All Out, and they still have 3 more months before they go on TNT every week. So 8.5 out of 10 for me. Very enjoyable. From top to bottom, I think Taker and Reigns is uh is where Undertaker should be at this point in his career. Have him do the odd singles match every once in a while, but I think Undertaker's best suited in tag team matches or Royal Rumble type matches. Yeah, I think this is a clear direction that WWE stepping their game up. They knew clearly AEW had a show the night before, so they wanted all guys on deck, 10, 12 matches on the show, and I think their show flowed a lot better than AEW's. The Fight for the Fallen was what started about 7:30. Their main show started about 8:30, and it went till about 11:30, almost midnight. That was a long show, and there was only about 7 or 8 matches on the main card. Way too long for 8 matches. Here we had 10 matches in 4 hours, just under 4 hours. I think that flowed pretty good. The matches, if you take away that first no holds barred match, it would have been about a 3.5 hour show with 9 matches. So the matches that were long, they needed the length, I guess. In the last man standing match, no holds barred match with Taker, and the main event. Three take away those 3 matches, um, the show wasn't that long. We had several new champions today, new IC US Universal Champions, new tag team champions. So WWE is clearly shaking things up. Whether Heyman or Bischoff had any influence on this pay-per-view is unknown at this time. So I'll definitely be looking into that. Um, so do I think when Sheamus comes back, he'll reunite with the Bar? Yeah, man, it's definitely possible. I feel like Cesaro, he's always going to be, a top level guy, mid upper guy. And Sheamus, former WWE and World Heavyweight Champions, Sheamus has done it all. King of the Ring, Money in the Bank, Royal Rumble. He's won virtually every championship. Sheamus could retire today, and go in the Hall of Fame next year. If Sheamus does decide to return, I think it's a good chance he'll reunite the Bar. Um, Sheamus, I think he's towards the end of his career though, and I think he's dealing with the neck or back injury, which kind of sucks. So if you guys have any more questions, comment down below. Gonna discuss Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy was arrested in Myrtle Beach, North Carolina or South Carolina. Public intoxication, Jeff Hardy. And it's not a good look. He's out injured currently, and you don't want to be out drinking in public and things like that. Jeff Hardy, clearly he doesn't have his act together unless he just had a few beers or whatever and just happened to get stopped randomly. It's possible. And they decked him with a intoxication in public. It's still not a good look. WWE releases a statement, and hopefully this is it for Jeff Hardy. He has had problems going back to the past decade, issues in TNA, and he did last year sometime as well. Um, it looked like he turned his life around, but who knows? He may be having a relapse. It's all possible at this point. I do also want to give my condolences out to the Alfonso family. Paco Alfonso recently passed away, the former owner of CMLL down in Mexico. He ran the organization down there for many, many years. He started the relationship between Ring of Honor and CMLL, along with the New Japan relationship, which has gone back for decades, probably the past 30 years or so. Chris Jericho, famous. It's a sad day for the wrestling community to see Paco Alfonso pass away. He left his estate to his daughter. Hopefully this doesn't see CMLL crumble at any time, but it's definitely a sad day to see a all-time great like him pass away. Some people may not have even heard of him. I know I never probably have, but you always want to pay your respects to legends like that who kind of pioneered the business. We see the effects of that relationship to this day with Mexican and Japan, the Ring of Honor stars going to Mexico and back and forth. Um, Jericho and many others, Rey Mysterio, Conan, guys like that, were legends in Mexico long before they even got to North America and ECW and WCW and eventually WWE. So if you guys have any thoughts on that, comment down below. Gonna wrap this up now. If you have any other questions or comments, we have Sheamus deserves a DVD. Yeah, I'd watch it, but Sheamus never really been the best in-ring guy. He's had a lot of great matches and moments, but I think it'd be better documentary style to have a Sheamus DVD. They do the two disc sets now, so maybe they could put something together with that. So overall, it was a fun wrestling weekend. I'll probably have a Fight for the Fallen review up some point. If not, maybe I won't. Who knows? But I'm gonna try to watch the Evolve show that happened last night as well, or Saturday night. Raw reunion next week. A lot going on here. I'm watching SummerSlam 99, which will be episode 27 of the Attitude Era review series. So look forward to all those videos, guys. And of course, if you have any suggestions, comments, concerns, drop a comment down below, guys. Let me know your thoughts on Extreme Rules. What's your overall grade for Extreme Rules out of 10, or a letter grade A, B, C, D, F? Will Finn Balor turn heel? You know what? I'd like to see that. Finn Balor joining the club would be great. Finn Balor versus Brock Lesnar. Granted, we've seen that at the Royal Rumble, but I'd like to see it again. And Finn Balor versus Lesnar was a pretty good match for the length it was. It was a 7 or 8 minute match, but I think the appeal was in kind of a rematch from the match they had a few years ago. So I don't know if I would turn Balor heel, but make him more aggressive and have him take down Lesnar. The the Beast versus the Demon, which was not the match we had at Rumble. It was talk to you later. Peace.